Hey, what's up? Welcome, everybody. This is the inaugural live episode of Trent Talks. I am super excited to have Akbar Sheikh with us. Akbar is he is a magician when it comes to funnels. Guy is a funnel coach and consultant extraordinaire. He's won multiple Two Comma Club awards. For those of you that may not know what that is, Two Comma Club award is once you've had a funnel that reaches over $1 million in gross sales. You can see the beautiful records up there behind him. But Akbar, welcome, man. It's a pleasure to have you. Looking forward to this, bud.
Thanks, man. Likewise. Appreciate you having me.
Well, I'm going to jump into because I want to take up as little of your time as possible, bring the most value we can to people. So we're going to focus primarily on that. But I do want to touch real briefly just on your backstory about how you came from really not having much at all. And you'll get into that. And then now you were able to build your first Two Comma Club board and transition that into a coaching business now where you've got multiple Comma Club awards and you're able to coach a lot of entrepreneurs to be super successful using funnels.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I failed in so many businesses beforehand. I failed in a lot of businesses. And I realized that it wasn't that these businesses failed me. I realized that I kind of failed them in the sense that, to give an analogy, it's like, it's like, are you, okay, so if you're going to go for a long journey, right? Mm-hmm. This is, I just came up with this, I think it's kind of good. If you're going to go on a long hike, for example, all right? You need a few things for you to get to, your destination, okay? You need a good backpack. You're going to need some hydration. You're going to need some food. You're going to need the proper shoes. You're going to need the right, you might even need some
necessities.
You're going to need some stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And you need to be well prepared to get to your journey. If not, well, then you're gonna end up turning right back around. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what happens with a lot of people. They just kind of jump into these things unprepared, and I did for many years. Now, what does that mean? I believe that we're composed of different orbs, right? We have our mental health, our physical health. We have our spirituality, our spiritual health, and we have our why. I feel if these things are not on point, a person is not ready to really start a business or really to grow their business. Yeah. So I wasn't, I was like my terrible mindset. I was very overweight. I was in terrible relationships. I wasn't very spiritual. I didn't really have much of a why, so I didn't have any of these things. Right. So that's why I kept failing. Once that happened, and that actually happened through, I was gifted with an anxiety disorder, and which ended landing me in a hospital. Really,
wow.
Yeah, that was a wake up call. That okay, life is not going the way it should be going.
Yeah.
That changed everything. I lost a bunch of weight, lost 50, 60 pounds. I let go of my toxic relationships. I started getting more spiritual, started praying, stuff like that. We started putting myself together because if you are not well, it's very difficult to help others. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So we did that. And we started being better. Life was totally different by then. We started doing that. We started doing yoga, started exercising, started eating right, and all these things that we all know we need to do, and a lot of us do, and a lot of us don't do. But life is totally different. People were looking at me different. Life is totally different. I'm kind of just tripping on those old days. But anyway, so now we're like, dude, we need a why. I never liked what I do. I was in retail and all sorts of, I was basically in retail and I never really liked it. I bumped into kind of network marketing because, all due respect, what else do people do when they don't have, they have no idea what else to do online.
You start looking for a quick buck. Yeah.
Well, you just start looking, you're
like, how do I make money? I don't have a place to start. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you do that. All due respect, listen, I'm not a big fan of it, of network marketing now, if you ask me. But we learned some things. We did learn some things. about, that was kind of my intro to how the internet works, how online marketing works, how, the fundamentals, the basics, right? Like build an audience, cultivate an audience, monetize an audience, test, tweak, scale, psychology, all these sorts of things. So I did learn some stuff, definitely. And I kind of started to get fascinated with it. I started really to get fascinated with it anyway. So what ended up happening was, we were just kind of starting that journey. But from that, from letting go of that previous life, and trying to forge into a new life, there was a brief period where we were, homeless, living in a closet, electrical closet with no hot water. What was it? No hot water. There were no windows, no hot water, no showers. We were in there for a little while, but it was interesting. In that period is where we truly learned, deeper, really about like attraction-based, content-based marketing, and ethical principles. Really understanding ethical principles of persuasion, and really understanding these sorts of things.
Let me ask you a quick question on that, because some people down there, I've never been homeless. I've been tight, down on my luck at times. What does it take mentally? What's the difficulty to keep yourself moving the right direction when you're going through that?
Man, you see, it's an interesting question, man, because at that point I was already like, I already had a good mindset. So it wasn't like, oh man, this is terrible. Like, it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? It was like, we were perfectly happy. Like, it was weird a little bit, but we knew it was temporary. We knew we were just kind of getting our, setting up shop and getting ourselves in order, and it's just temporary and stuff. And I'll be honest,
you were just able to stay focused on the bigger picture.
Yeah, no, look, it was kind of fun, man. I mean, look, really, I don't, it's not like, oh, times are terrible, and there was no hot water, and it was weird, and it was inconvenient, and it was like there was a weird, because we were in the back of an office building, man, in their electrical closet, and there were actually some other people living in their offices.
Really?
And they were weird, man. I smile about it, but I think some of them clearly had mental disorders. But it was weird. Sometimes you would hear, strange noises, and it was strange. It's weird, man. It was really weird. It's like in the back road, it was kind of scary. But no, I don't look at those. I look at those days with a smile. I really don't look at them, with anything else. Yeah. Well, I think that the lesson there is that, because and a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who, if they were in that position, now they would be like kind of depressed, and it's because they don't have their mindset. Like, honestly, man, like, this is like it's unsexy to say this, and like it's not very marketable and all that, but like it's the truth, and the reality is that this whole thing, man, this whole life thing, it's really like 90% mental. Like, it's weird because I know everybody hears that. I don't know if everyone believes that. I know they truly don't believe that, because if they truly understood and truly believed that, they would spend a lot more time on
their mental wellness and the mental
their mindset, like daily, and trying to I think mindset is super important, but it's not like we it's not like we I'm reading about mindset like for 2 hours every day. You know what I mean? But
right. I think people make mindset harder than they need to.
Yeah.
A lot of it seems to be a decision of, look, I'm going to choose to react to my circumstances in this way. I'm going to choose to stay positive, choose to stay happy, and therefore I'm the one that's in control of my mindset, my attitude, not my circumstances.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just this whole thing, man. And mindset is really nothing but a habit, and just giving yourself permission to look at things the way they truly are. And it's a lot about being thankful, man. As a matter of fact, I've been studying ancient medicine lately, and micro gratitude is very powerful. I actually already knew that, but I was pleasant. I was very happy to hear.
Micro gratitude meaning?
Micro gratitude meaning grateful for everything. Like, I'm very grateful to have this interview. Very grateful for this computer I'm using. Very grateful for the phone that's doing the live. Very grateful for water. I mean, are we always constantly thinking about that? No. Like, I'm not, like, right now I'm not thinking like I'm grateful for this. But it is reflection. It is kind of constant reflection and being grateful for what you have, because the truth is, man, like, a lot of us, and this is even spiritual, a lot of us compare ourselves to the Joneses. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, look what the neighbor has. Look what that guy has. Oh,
Absolutely.
oh, I want that. And it's just, and even from a religious point of view, it's like, the scriptures say, like, you'll never be happy, if you do that. Meaning, because like if you get a mountain of gold, you'll just want another one. Because man is almost never satisfied.
You're never satisfied. If you're looking at money and things like that to satisfy you, you're just looking for the next high, the next fix.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we went through that. So you were able to, what did you do? What kind of things did you implement when you were starting out from that position to get to your first 2 Comma Club award?
Well, what happened was I was in, like I said, I was in network marketing. I didn't like it at all. And we started to do well at it at this point. But I remember one day I got, a pretty hefty check in the mail from network marketing, and I was feeling empty from network marketing. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I remember, that same day I did a free hour-long consultation with like a non-for-profit kind of company.
Yeah.
They had a profit sector and a non-profit sector. But I'll never forget that day where I really enjoyed that consultation more. Do you know what I mean? And what ended up happening was like, dude, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I enjoy, like working.
The altruistic nature of it, that like I can help people doing this. Yes, I'm making a living, but I can really help people.
Yes.
It's amazing how much that altruistic part of a job gives you huge fulfillment.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does. So I asked them, I said, hey man, so I was doing consulting with them. Through my consulting with them, actually, they had a business, and it was one of their funnels was doing like around 300K, and then through our consulting, 300 something K, and then through our consulting, it went, their next kind of round went, to around about $1 million. And that was the first. And you're going to ask yourself, like, well, what did you do?
That would be my first question. How do we repeat it?
Yeah, and really, and again, we're going to go back to unsexy topics, and that's okay. But it's really, if you take a look at most businesses, what's really wrong are the fundamentals. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, you can deconstruct a funnel. I think what was that? What kind of funnel? It was a typical kind of sales page funnel, actually.
Okay.
So, the video was boring. It was not enticing. It was kind of outdated. The headline,
your standard VSL.
The headline was weak. So you take a look at, what I call the 5 ethical EPOP, right? What I call the 5 ethical principles of persuasion. And that is likable authority, scarcity, reciprocity, social proof, and I always have to write it down. I always repeat the messaging, right? That's the 5. I didn't repeat myself. Right? Okay, so that's the 5. And Robert talks about it in his book. In his book as well. These things is something that I learned a long time ago, that, hey man, you need these things to be solid. Again, these are fundamentals, for a funnel. Because, so, a lot of times, for example, man, you'll go, even yesterday I was doing a funnel review. You'll see a page, and you'll have a testimony that's like a page long, and it's sized like 8 font. And It's like, you need a mic, and it's like, I can't tell you how many times I see stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like microscopic, or it's like a testimony that doesn't really say anything, like, oh, Mike's a cool guy. You know what I mean? Or, something like that. And it's just like,
right. And the customer's like, well, sure, Mike's a cool guy, but that doesn't help me.
Yeah. The thing is, like, it's an art, right? It's an art, like messaging to provoke, to make people, the point of like a funnel is like really emotional. And it's really like, when I read that, I need to be like, yes. My eyes literally need to dilate. My mouth literally needs to water. My jaw literally needs to be like, yeah, I want
You
that.
want all the emotional responses. Yeah.
Yeah, like think about the last time that happened to you. Like for me, that happened. Like I went to a Neil Patel website. I don't even remember why, but he had this great thing where he's like, "Dude, just put your email address right now, and we're going to give you an instantaneous report right now, showing you exactly the 10 things your website, the 10 exact reasons on your website as to why it's not getting enough traffic." So it was like it was some sort of software where then it puts crawlers through your site, and then it shows you like, what's wrong with it, or why more people are not coming. So it's like, I'll never forget, I was so juicy. I was like, dude, and I was in the middle of like a presentation with someone or something like that. Dude, hold on, I was like, I got to opt in. Like, that's how much they knew their target audience. That's the thing, right? Most people are not speaking to anybody. Like a lot of times you read this stuff and it's just like, dude, who are you speaking to? Like if I'm your target audience, I'm not emotionally moved at all. My state of emotion hasn't flickered. Do you know what I mean? It's like I haven't budged. Like you're not making me want to do any action. That's kind of a really interesting concept if you think about it. Like, is your messaging warranting a response from people? Is it sparking people to respond?
You feel like that's one of the biggest things that separates successful funnels versus non, is the ability to evoke emotion out of the customer?
Absolutely. I think if I was to pick one, most people, like if you think like the funnels, right? Most people who don't have a good funnel, like all the 5 of those areas we discussed, pretty much most of them could be improved. They're generally not doing a great job at any one of those.
Interesting.
Generally. If you're asking me like what is the most powerful one, I would say messaging. I would say like just the messaging I've seen on funnels is just really weak. Now you're gonna ask next, well, okay, cool. How do we do that? Listen, you can study copy, right? And it's a very profitable and amazing thing to study because it's a timeless skill. Do you see what I'm saying? For example,
the ability to tell stories and evoke emotion, it never goes out. It just has different forms and mediums.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you just study bots, well, guess what? If bots become irrelevant in 2 years, well, then what are you going to do? But studying copy is like a timeless, skill that will, always be profitable for you. So I definitely suggest studying copy. However, it is, it's not something everybody can do. It's, you're basically a writer. It's not. I want to be honest. Like some people are like, oh, anybody can do it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think anybody can study it. And if they don't give up and, they go through the rigorous journey of it, it is, take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I like to teach people to do what you do best and outsource the rest, man. Like there's so many great copywriters that have studied it for such a long time and they're affordable. Like, why wouldn't you just concentrate on what you do best, like big picture stuff or strategy stuff, or maybe sales or maybe Facebook ads or whatever. I always recommend people do what you do best, outsource the rest.
All right. So when you look at for example, you look at the 3 plaques up behind you there. What were the 3 things that stood out the most in those? I mean, aside from, obviously we know every successful funnel, like you just mentioned, is going to have skillful copy. You're going to be able to evoke emotion, cause a customer to think about their situations, where they are now, where they could be, etc. But what are the differences from a funnel that there's a lot of funnels out there that may do, a couple $1,000s a month or may do stuff like that versus a funnel that really takes off? Is this going back to the 5 key things you're talking about?
It's really that, right? I mean, it's really just it's these 5 ethical principles of persuasion, right? I mean, it's really like the messaging of it, the story of it, I just came back from Funnel Hack Live and they summarized it pretty nicely, right? Hook, story, offer, right? I mean, and that obviously the 5 ethical principles of persuasion, incorporates into that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to ask like, specifically like, well, one of them, was pretty much all that. We had to redo everything. We had to redo the videos. We had to redo the messaging. We had to get better social proof. We had to get more reciprocity. We had to change the design element of it, like the whole thing. Another one primarily was messaging. Like I said, the messaging was off. A lot of the times you're in, I was doing a call with a client last night. We were going over messaging. We came up with a good line, and it was like they were helping people overcome their food addictions. And I forget what their messaging was, but it was a little generic. And we had to make it a little bit more enticing. So it was like, something like, the undiscovered, it was like neuroscience has uncovered the most underutilized way to end food addiction, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it was just tying something and just putting a different approach on it. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times people, they just, you've seen it, you read their headlines and you read their stuff, you're just like, eh. You know what I mean? So anyway, one of them was messaging, and then the other one was like strategy, like where should you go, what kind of funnel you should use, who's going to build your webinar, who's going to help you with the traffic, kind of like the strategy and then like the connections of it too. So, I mean, what people forget is that like an online business, man, is a very real thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, so you have to treat it as such. I mean, I always compare it to a candy store. A corner candy store, man. Look, if you want to open a corner candy store, hey, you're gonna need fixtures. security equipment, deposit, designs, marketing, inventory, employee, insurances, all these sorts of things. And this is just and by the way, it's going to cost you around about $50,000 if you're lucky.
Right.
This is for some little candy store. If you're lucky, you'll make that money back in years. If you're lucky, right? I mean, generally speaking, for a corner store, statistically,
I mean, most business store brick and mortars, it takes 2 years to be profitable.
Yeah. So I mean, look at all that effort just for that little candy store that's really not making anything. Question is, are we really putting that effort into our online businesses, or are we just kind of doing a couple of things like, what happened? Why aren't we doing? Why aren't there? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we making any money? We got to remember, it's a real business, and a real business requires effort. You know what I mean?
Well, what would you suggest for somebody that's starting early? We want to obviously get really focused in on the strategy tactics for people. So, obviously, as soon as possible, you'd like to bring someone in. If you're not a copywriter, bring in a copywriter. If you don't understand the layout and the funnel strategy, bring in someone like yourself, a funnel coach. But if you're early on, I mean, maybe you're working a side hustle right now or a side job, or you have a full-time job in the online business as your side kind of hustle. What kind of tips, pointers? I mean, what's your strategy for getting those people started? Because like Russell always talks about the whole one funnel away, which we know is true, but that doesn't always mean it's your first funnel.
Yeah, no, look, so when I was transitioning from my job to the online world, it's about, like, it's funny, this is like a very unsexy interview because I'm going to say another unsexy thing, because a lot of these things are just super important. What people end up doing is that they talk about it, but they just use different verbiage, right? They'll call like, like
pretty verbiage.
They'll use pretty, like, instead of saying mindset, they'll be like, we have to rewire the way that you think, stuff like that. But I mean, they're talking about mindset, right? So I'm just going to use the unsexy words today because it's early in the morning and I'm not going to get creative. So consistency. Right. My first webinar, man, took forever to make because, dude, look, I got, when you're married, did I have a kid at the time? Hold on. I don't remember, but married. I did have a kid, married kid, young kid, new kid, I
remember it was a newborn infant, wasn't it, when you first started?
Yeah. Oh, you remember?
I do. I remember talking with you as you were building out the first one.
Yeah, it's crazy. I met some people recently. They're like, man, we've been they're telling me things I forgot about. Man, we're watching you since vlog number 1, and it's like, it's crazy how this whole we document this whole journey. But yeah, like a newborn, I was at the job, and it was tough, dude. When you come home after a long day, and we're in marketing, so marketing, it's funny because like my wife sometimes like, dude, why are you tired? Like you sit at a desk all day, right? I said, dude. They don't get it, but it's exhausting because you're mentally trying to be so creative, and you're mentally just beat at the end of the day, which translates into physical exhaustion as well.
Absolutely.
So now I'm beat up, and I have to come home and be with my wife, spend some time with the wife, obviously spend some time with the kid, and I'm tired. I've been working all day. Like, it's tough. Yeah.
Now I got to sit down and work on my webinar.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like let's not kid ourselves. It's not easy, but it was like enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? Because it was fun. It was new. It was my first one. I was creating. We're entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs create. This is something I enjoy doing. But the key was just consistency, man. I just did a little bit a day, or I just did a little bit. I don't remember, frankly, if it was a little bit every day or a little bit whenever I could, but it was just like, there was some consistent pattern or schedule there. I frankly don't remember, but it was just, what I do remember is that it was consistent. That means like, okay, dude, I can do 20 minutes a day. And I remember, dude, what was nice is my wife, I had at the time, we had, she kind of like understood that. She supported that. Like, that's important to get that encouragement and that support. And not all of us have that. And sometimes we have, and sometimes we don't. But if we can get it, it's very, very beneficial.
Absolutely. Because there are the times that even when it is fun, when you're just like, you start looking out, you're like, man, this is just a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. And you find yourself going, okay, just, at least for me, I find myself I have to break things down and say, okay, let me just work on this today, get this part done. Because it's hard sometimes to look at the whole picture.
Well, the best way to eat, eat a cow is one bite at a time.
one bite at a time.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it is, right, but that's the mind game, right? Because what ends up happening.
Absolutely.
But we also have to understand, man. Like, and I'll say something bold here, but no one's been able to prove me wrong. But if you stick to something, all right, if you stick to something, you have a good blueprint, and you don't give up, and you keep doing at least 3 things that move your business forward. If you have that discipline to not give up, I mean, do you know how many people do you know? You tell me how many people do you know? Where it's just, dude, this guy's like tried forever, but he tries every single day, and he does 3 things every single day to move his business forward. You know, the guy just hasn't made it. Now you might hear of your anomaly once in a blue, but generally speaking,
yeah, I mean, I can't think of any that come to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I thought for a while, I'd think of someone, but there's always going to be an anomaly. But generally speaking, hey man, I mean, what a blessing if you think about it. Like, if you don't give up, you'll get it. It's exactly like I've lost 50, 60 pounds, whatever it was, I don't remember. But dude, if you eat better and you exercise, if you have normal health, it is scientifically impossible not to lose weight. I mean, that's just like a fact. Like, you can't argue that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a bold statement, but it's kind of a beautiful thing to reflect upon. But why is it that this is like a multi-billion-dollar industry? Why is it that the vast majority of people who go on diets never lose weight, or lose weight and just gain it all back and then some? Why is that? And it goes back to another unsexy word, and that's discipline. You know, just the discipline of not going to McDonald's, or not making a quick stop at Wendy's for a Frosty, you know, which I've been doing lately.
Yeah,
I've been misbehaving.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Mine's a little too much of this sometimes.
What is that?
A little too much coffee.
Coffee? Yeah. How many cups a day?
I have to ask my wife. I think 3, 4.
Yeah, 3 is not the worst thing in the world.
Could be worse. Yeah, you heard that, babe. You're listening.
I don't do that. It doesn't sound terrible.
But all right. So, if you were designing one from scratch, you don't know what you're doing now. You know, like, don't think about where you are now. What are you going to come back and say? All right, I do this step 1, 2, 3, and 4 when I'm building out my funnel. You know, when I'm putting together the whole, my offering is going to be, everything else. What's your strategy that you give someone who's just completely starting, may have little to no experience?
Someone who's starting and who has no experience. I mean, honestly, bro, like, it's tough, right? Because what we do is we help existing businesses scale. Okay. So we don't necessarily, generally speaking, don't work with newbies unless they've had tremendous success offline and they're trying to, promote that online.
Transition online. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we'll make an exception for that. But, we're not here to kind of sell a dream to anybody that, hey,
sure.
Hey, you can come, start a new life online, like that sort of thing. But the thing is, like, your question is like, what advice do I have for a newbie?
Let me shift it then. I'll do this then, because I know, like, one of your first funnels I remember was working with the brick and mortar as well. You went from the brick and mortar, I believe it was, you have to correct me, I believe it was mattress sales they did, and they scaled that.
Well, we did Medoma, which was a medical massage clinic. Yeah, medical massage clinic. We helped them with that, and again, that was primarily messaging too. That was so.
How would you tell that person to get from, here's your brick and mortar, we're having some success here, how do I scale that and take it online?
Well, what it was, for that, it was messaging, right? So think about it. When you advertise, when you see advertisements on massage, what do you see, right? Oh, this is going to help your blood flow. Oh, this is going to help lower your stress. This is going to help, relax you, and all these sort of things, right?
Right.
That's basically what you see for massage marketing, right? So we're like, dude, we have to
relieve pain, relieve stress.
Yeah, all that jazz, right? So, dude, we have to flip the script. Okay, we have to flip the script. We have to say massage 2.0. Right? Like the future of massage. And it was, because it was medically integrated massage. So it was like a little bit of a spin on a massage. So a lot of the times people, man, it's crazy. They have these amazing things going on and they don't even mention it, right? Like one guy, I remember he helped 500 people do something, right? Which is incredible. And it was nowhere on his funnel. Yeah, and it was nowhere on his funnel, right? So it's like you have resources. Yeah, like your number one resource is your resourcefulness. And like so many people have like cool stuff to talk about, but they don't. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to understand like what is your competitive edge? What makes you different? I mean,
You
something.
think that's a struggle with people not wanting to feel braggadocious or going that route, or do you think it's just they don't think about it and put it together?
I mean, see now, let's see now. It goes back to the fundamentals, isn't it? That goes back to a mindset thing, right? Because here's the thing: if you truly believe that your product is awesome, and your product is getting people awesome results, and your competition is not that good, and your competition is not getting people good results, then you are kind of, in essence, really, God gifted all of us with stuff, right? God gifted you, God gifted me, God gave all of us gifts. God gave you a gift for a reason. All right. Now, if you're awesome at what you do and you're getting people results, okay, and your competition's not, are you now selling people or are you really serving people? Like, dude, there is a need for this.
It comes back to the whole feeling of disservice if you're not helping them solve that problem, and you can't. Are you doing them a disservice by not providing a service that can fix it?
And a lot of people have difficulty getting in that mindset, and I think a reason for that is they probably just don't have enough faith in what they do. But the easy way to remedy that is to hone your craft through studying, reading, workshops, courses, so on and so forth, implement it. Okay, number one. And number two, just getting people results. I mean, it's like a drug.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is like a drug.
Well, let me ask you this, man, because I don't want too much of your time here. I super appreciate your time. What are some stuff that you want to share? What do you have going on? What should people be aware that you're doing? How can they work with you, etc.?
Listen, man, we are, in the business of helping people make more so they can give more. Try to help experts make more so they can give more. This is really, I want to call it an idea. And I'm simply using the word idea because I'm trying to get on TED Talks. But really, this is the idea that we're trying to put a spark in an entrepreneur's mind that really, you want to know what the number one ROI is. It's giving. Okay. The number one ROI, the number one thing you can do, that's better than, in my opinion, better than real estate, stocks, Bitcoin, don't get me started, is really giving. Is really giving. You know what I mean? Now, What does that really mean? Well, let's break that down a little bit. Well, if you have money, give it. If you don't have money, give your time. If you don't have time, call your mom, make her smile. That's one fraction of it. So what the other fraction of giving? And that is give your customers the best experience. Give the customers the best product. Constantly be giving thought to how to make experience better. I mean, I'm always kind of thinking, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? How can we make this better? So it's about, it's not just like the la-la stuff, like, oh, just give,
It's an interesting take because I think a lot of people, even myself, we forget about that part. We think of the altruistic part of it as being, well, I'm going to give of my time or my knowledge or of my money, but we stop and forget that there is the aspect of giving and almost kind of going above and beyond inside of your business as well. That the customers recognize, they see the value in it. That's interesting. I haven't thought of it like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of the new thing I'm kind of been talking about lately is because I think I've realized that most people, I'm not looking at it that way, and they're just thinking like, oh, you're just talking about the same old give. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really more than that. It's really more than just giving money. Like giving money is like just one thing, right? Giving money, in essence, if you give money, okay, in essence, you're just a donor, by the way. A philanthropist.
You're not showing a significant, you're not necessarily showing significant importance. You're just giving of your money. You're not giving of yourself in general.
Well, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the definition of philanthropy is actually to improve the quality, or one of the definitions is to improve the quality of mankind, to improve the condition of mankind, and to improve someone's life. To improve someone's life indeed is philanthropy. So, as entrepreneurs, I actually feel that we are, generally speaking, we have the opportunity to truly be philanthropists.
Yeah.
Because think about it, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to like say we're better than like the 9-to-5ers or like, any
No,
sort
no,
of.
but it's good though. What you're saying is good.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we've been given a great responsibility. Think about it, man. Everything is commerce. This computer that we're using for this live phone I'm using, this cup I'm drinking, right? The pen and paper I have here, the sparkling water here, the raisins that we're drawing. Everything, that my office, the light bulb, everything is commerce.
Yeah.
Everything is commerce. So it's like, business kind of makes the world turn around, and we're all kind of a spoke in that wheel, and we have an opportunity, to do some serious philanthropy with it if we choose to. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if a lot of people think about that, but like, if you're an entrepreneur, you have an opportunity to do some really blessed work. If you serve people well, if you serve people well, and you help them out, that's a blessed thing. That's blessed work. You know what I mean? So it's not, people find out, and it's interesting, man. Like, people find out very quickly it's not about the money. They'll find out about that once they make some. But it's really goes a lot deeper than that, and it really is about making the world, a better place.
Now, how do you, and guys, go ahead and post any questions you have. We'll be doing some Q&A after this here. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. But you talk about like that being able to do giving and stuff. How do you, I think it was Stephen Larson or somebody said this about being able to change your world before you can change the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's super important for people to recognize, is that while you keep your why at the forefront, you have to change your world first, then you can change the rest of the world. You can't do it in the flip side because you run out of money, you run out of time, you run out of energy. Would you agree with that?
No, that's what I was saying. Remember, is that, when I was talking about the journey that people are taking and they need the backpack and all that most people are not prepared for their journey. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah. Brett said same thing that man. Awesome. So if people want to work with you, they got a brick and mortar, they're looking to go online, they're looking to scale the business, how do they get in touch and work with you?
Yeah, traditionally we like to work with the existing online businesses, who are just kind of struggling a little bit, and it doesn't matter what revenue they're at, and they're just kind of struggling a little bit. They seem to have hit a ceiling. They just don't know how to. They just can't seem to grow. Yeah, we like to work with them. So you just kind of go to our website, which is just my name.com, akbarscheikh.com, and you check out a little video that explains kind of how we can help, and then we get on the phone, see if we're a good fit. And then we rock and roll.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Any specialty or any thing that you excel in as far as industry, things like that, or you just kind of I'll take them as they come because I know I can adjust the messaging and adjust the way it's.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's interesting. We haven't really niched down like that. Like, we only work with dentists or whatever. Right? And the reason for that is because, like, at the end of the day, business is business. Like, all businesses have different, generally speaking, have different departments. You have customer support, you have, marketing, you have sales, you have, and again, all the ethical principles of persuasion. So again, we really focus on the fundamentals. People really have the fundamentals wrong, and we just focus on fixing that and getting a solid foundation so that they can break that ceiling. And hit that next level of revenue.
Okay. One I want to talk to you about, you've done this, obviously I've seen your different offerings. What are your thoughts on implementing, and how you implement, someone can implement their value ladder? Because you've done a good job with that. You started out with just doing funnel building and coaching. Now you have your 7-figure society, your group membership group. You got into the one-to-one high-end coaching as well yet?
Yeah, we have. So it's interesting, right? I think the journey is kind of very similar for a lot of people, and it's kind of been well defined for a little while. And that's like, a lot of people get started with the done with you, right? And that's what I did, right? I was like, okay, what's the quickest way to get people results? I'm like, okay, I'll just do it with them. Like, I'll go, on the I'll do like, say it again.
You'll log into their account. Hey, let me go ahead and make some modifications. That kind of thing.
No, like, done with you, like, hey, let's go on a Zoom call and show me your stuff, and we'll just, okay, this is no good, change that. This is no good, change that. Like, we just kind of workshop through it.
Right.
Well, obviously, pretty quickly you burn out of that, right? So you burn out of that, and then you move on to like a done for you, and then a lot of people just start doing like done for you. So, okay, dude, like we're gonna run your ads, or we're gonna do this. And that's kind of the agency model. And then a lot of people burn out of that. Then you get into a course. Then you get into one-on-one, and then eventually you get into software, and you do events and books and stuff. We've done some events. We've done a book. Events I really enjoy. Software is something I'm excited about, interested in looking at transition into that world. That's kind of the next
coming down the line, but I know you really can't share because if you call it software, you don't want somebody to take it and run with it.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of interesting ideas in the pipeline with that, but yeah, I mean, like the focus is like, the thing is like what I would ask people to do is like really, dude, study, history. Two things about history. Number one, it's gone, and number two, it repeats itself. So like I said, that pattern I just told you is a very common pattern. Do you know what I mean? So you want to learn from people's mistakes. A lot of times, you don't want to go too fast. You want to take it easy. You want to learn from your mistakes. You want to keep measuring things, keep reflecting on things, keep improving things. And you really just want to serve.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me see if we have any questions here. Not rolling. I'm just looking around. Got Brett tuning in here. You guys got any questions for Akbar? And in the meantime, I got to say it's been quite an enjoyment watching your journey. I remember when you first started. Yeah. I remember we had a brief Skype conversation and stuff, and you were building the very first funnel, working some action ethics and stuff into it, and it has definitely been a journey. And I mean, the awards, I know that's not what you do it for. The awards behind you speak to the success, but it's interesting that you're mostly known in the community for your giving, not necessarily just the financial success. And I know that's been intentional for you.
That's the message we're trying to spread. And sometimes people, and you got to also understand that, like, if you're trying to do something different, you're going to get people who are not going to like it. Like I've had some people tell me, and there's some cultures that say, hey, keep that stuff to yourself. You give privately. And look, we actually believe in that too. However, the reason I've spread it is because it's inspired people, man. People have sent me screenshots of them donating to their favorite charities. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we're trying to spread that message, and it's working, man. People are giving more because we're spreading that message. And I'm not trying to like take credit for it, but I mean, like, that's why we do it. And it's
there's a satisfaction comes with being able to change the culture. I mean, there's a satisfaction comes when you see that you're influencing others by your giving and you being able to help along with your business. That is very motivational, inspirational for you as well when you see them doing it.
Yeah, it is, and it's uncomfortable for me sometimes to share. Like I get shy about it, and I'm like, well, dude, I know that it's encouraging other people to do it, and it is a shy thing. It is kind of a private thing, but when you see other people getting inspired by that and doing it kind of just helps you continue down that path.
Awesome, man. I really hope you enjoyed and got a lot of value of this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below. I'm going to be answering all the comments myself. And also, come find me on your favorite social media platform and tell me what else I can help you with.